Thank you. Brian Robertson, Unite the Union. Congress comrades, Unite the Union agrees with the sentiments on properly funding public services through taxation contained within the composite. We support the composite. However, in doing so, we need to highlight to Congress an alarming precedent currently being set in Scottish local government funding. Councils across Scotland are now using money saved from their pension funds to balance their budgets. Council workers' pension money is now paying for our public services. I want my name on the side of a bin motor for that. Edinburgh is taking about 20 million a year to plug gaps in the budget. Glasgow, Inverclyde, North and South Lanarkshire and many others are all doing the same, using pension fund money to balance the books. Our pension fund money. Pension funds currently have extra money due to their investments paying off. Employers are grabbing that money desperately as they are starved of cash by the Scottish Government. Using windfall money, and that's what it is, it's windfall money, as revenue is a very risky approach for two very important reasons, and I'll give you another one in a wee minute. Firstly, the pension fund savings are only set to last 2 to 3 years, so the gaps they are plugging now will reappear in the future. Secondly, employer pension costs will increase once the windfall is gone, so that becomes a double whammy. But the 20 million Edinburgh is saving every year, it will be increased again, so it could easily be 40 or even 50 million. Now, the result of that double whammy will probably be service cuts and redundancies. It's the only way they can figure to save the money. So, pension fund pilfering is another example, alongside tourist, workplace and other levies, of a piecemeal and desperate approach to council funding. These approaches might look like they help, but they are a wolf in sheep's clothing, because they're unstable and inconsistent, and, crucially, they let the Scottish Government off the hook to not fund public services properly. And they make councils much more precarious. A question for everybody. Do the likes of Cammy Day, Susan Aitken, John Alexander, other council leaders, even Hamza Yousaf, do they really want to be spoken and written about alongside luminaries such as Robert Maxwell and Philip Green? Oh, I might have just done that there, sorry.
You finish off, please,
I will do. Unite the Union is totally opposed to pension fund pilfering and firmly committed to campaigning publicly and politically against the use of pension fund money to plug gaps in Scottish Government funding for local government. We ask that other unions and the STUC join us in this. Thank you.
President, Congress, Graeme Smith from Unite the Union, seconding motion 33 on education funding. Comrades this morning have explained passionately, eloquently and comprehensively the issues facing pupils and schools. The social issues continue to increase as austerity is a scourge on society. I'm going to cover two aspects of the motion that are very important. My Unite comrade yesterday pointed out that local governments are being funded over the next 3 years by plugging the gap, pilfering the pension fund. There's a further worrying trend to how we're funding local government. We're seeing more wee piecemeal things thrown in. We're getting carrots dangled. We're getting workplace parking levies, which are a form of double taxation on workers. They're getting taxed while they're doing their job, and then they're getting taxed on those wages. We're seeing tourist tax. We're seeing the retention of non-domestic rates from free ports. All of these ways of funding local government carry externalities. They have extra things that will see cities turned into Disneyland. We'll see councils blamed for not being business friendly. We'll see workers' terms and conditions within free ports driven into the ground. These are not suitable ways to fund our local government and to provide proper funding for schools. We need proper funding mechanisms. We need to reform the regressive council tax system. We need to be looking at the measures outlined by the STUC and the raising taxes for delivery to Scotland. What we also need to have a look at, a crucial point in this motion, is worker voice. Within Edinburgh Council, last year, Council made the decision to cut the Education Welfare Service. Now, this is a service that provides a liaison between home and school. They provide vital welfare services for pupils who don't yet meet the threshold for social work input. They provide vital early intervention so they don't actually meet that threshold. Now, the local government and education unions fought long and hard to try and save this service, and it was up for the chop. It was only last week that the Council decided to keep this service after having consultants decide it was all right. It shouldn't have been last week that the Education Welfare Service was saved. It should have been last year, because the unions and the workers were telling them they needed that all along. So, to ensure they get proper funding for local government workers, ensure that trade union voices are heard in the decisions in schools and local authorities, please support this motion.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any other speakers?